Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have a message for Christopher Hatikure Mutsvangwa. He has become so big-headed. He is, yes, Zimbabwe's answers Joseph Goebbels and Chemical Alley, all rolled up into one propagandist supremo. But even you cannot change historic facts. Mnangagwa is a corrupt, incompetent, vote rigging, and murderous psychopath. You cannot change him into something else, into a constitutionalist Democrat. That is just nonsense. In this video clip, Blessed Mhlanga took Chris Mutsvangwa to task on the issue of his arrest leading up, following his interview with Blessed Geza.
Asking people not to talk about succession. You speak about asking people not to talk about succession, but when the party itself is moving around issues of succession, going with slogans 2030 and the like, and ministers of government pushing those agendas in the public, how then do you want to control the discourse of saying, let's not talk about succession, when as your party you are in the forefront having that discussion about succession?
The party pronounces itself in resolutions, and we had a conference in Blawayo of the party, and the party is saying we are happy with the president, let him continue to 2030. So that's a legitimate aspiration from members of the party, those who are happy with the president. Then the president says, look, I am a constitutionalist. If my 2 terms are over, I'll leave. So he has answered on his behest how far he wants to go. There's nothing wrong about a healthy debate on that aspect. What is wrong is for people to say, let the president be succeeded today. Because there are people who are trying to push agendas of immediate succession to the president, even when we're outside of the constitutional term limits. Why do you want to have a 31 March uprising, which you were promoting, when you know exactly that in 2028 the party will go to the elections? Why were you interviewing people who were trying to undermine the constitution and giving them a platform about where they want to go? And why were they seeking you to deliver that message? This is what offends the people in the party. That there are some people who are within who wants to circumvent the constitution, to subvert the constitutional order in Zimbabwe. Look, he was given a mandate in 2023. 2028 is still a long way off. In the meantime, he has to deliver on the mandate. And what I spent my time talking to about in the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, was exactly the president delivering on the mandate of prosperity, which was given by the people of Zimbabwe, because that's what they want. People of Zimbabwe don't vote for presidents so that they can nominate successors.
Well, let's just stop there. Mnangagwa was not voted by the people of Zimbabwe. We cannot pretend that the 2023 elections were free, fair, and credible. SADC, the AU, and all observers, election observers of any quality, they all condemned the elections as flawed and illegitimate. Zimbabwe did not even have a verified voters' roll. Why? How can you have an election, a meaningful national election, when you don't even have a verified voters' roll? Mnangagwa himself is on record boasting that he was going to frog march voters with the chairman of the party in front, the voters following behind, and the headman at the back to the polling station, where, as we know, there were ZANU-PF officials there marking who entered in to vote. And within minutes of the results being announced, they will know who voted for ZANU-PF. How can that be a free, fair, and credible election process in this day and age? Let's get our facts right. Mnangagwa did not get the people of Zimbabwe's mandate. So please, let's stick to historic facts.
That's not the business of the electorate. The electorate votes for a person who can have a manifesto which says, I'm going to make your life better. Why can't those who are coming to you, who are from within the party, who say we want to subvert, why can't they hold their jokes, their yokes? They can hold on more until the time comes. There was an attempt at a premature foisting of a succession which dispenses with a president which is constitutionally elected today. And that was wrong. That's what incensed the people of the membership of ZANU-PF. They are happy with their president. They want him to discharge his mandate. He's discharging it very well, that mandate, because all the prosperity, the big projects which I'm talking about, which foist Zimbabwe on the top of even European countries in steel sectors, in lithium. This is a hallmark of a man who knows what he's doing and has got 5 years to deliver that. Give him that mandate for 5 years. Come 28, you can talk about succession.
You yourself.
One at a time. Let him follow up.
Yes. You yourself led a drive. You led a drive to remove a president who was constitutionally elected, to remove him from power before his mandate was due. You removed President Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Why can't you allow others, if they so wish, to do what you did?
The reason why President Mugabe had to be removed is very clear. Along the way, he had decided to create a dynasty out of this country. So he was moving with his own succession agenda outside the context of the Zimbabwe people. He had turned his house and his household into a courthouse of intrigue against the constitution of Zimbabwe. This is what then led to those who had put him in power originally, the war veterans. We know where Mugabe came from. We know how he got to that power. We made it possible. The Mkagao document, we made it possible. The war which was fought, we made it possible. He has no particular possession of the attributes of that war. He can't say it's my war. He couldn't say it's my war. But he was taking all those sacrifices of the people and turning it into a family dynasty. That's antithesis of the revolution. And worse, when the day of 2017 comes, his appointed minister of justice, Lepton Bonyongwe, decides to change the Zimbabwean army by imprisoning all the generals. Hitherto, they'd been staying in their barracks, not unduly concerned about what was going on. But when dockets were signed for them to be removed, because somebody was riding on the dynastic pretenses of Mugabe, of course, the people of Zimbabwe and their army united, because this country is born of the unity of the people of Zimbabwe and their army. and they said, we will not tolerate this nonsense. This is.
Let's be very clear here. The people of Zimbabwe have never had a meaningful say in the governance of Zimbabwe. From day one, in 1980, when the country was going to the elections to deliver independence, ZANU-PF decided, Robert Mugabe and his cronies decided that they would leave a number of operatives in the field, contrary to the agreement in the Lancaster House Agreement, to withdraw all freedom fighters to assembly points. They left a number of them in the field. And their instructions were very clear. If ZANU-PF does not win the election, the Bush war would continue. Of course, the people voted to end the Bush war. But with that also went their right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. This is at the heart of our problem. And ZANU-PF moved swiftly in 1983, 3 years after independence. They launched the Gukurahundi. The Gukurahundi was about forcing the only other political party that constituted a serious challenge to ZANU-PF, i.e. PF ZAPU, led by the late Dr. Joshua Nkomo, to give up its political aspirations and join ZANU-PF, which they ultimately did in 1987, culminating with the signing of the Unity Accord between ZAPU and ZANU-PF. And that cleared the way for the imposition of the de facto one-party state. These are the historic facts we are dealing with. The man Mutsvangwa here is trying to pretend that he's a Democrat, he respects the rule of law. He is a murderous thug. He was the man behind the electoral coup of 2008. He doesn't deny it. He even posts about it. There can be no doubt that 2008, the only year actually when Zimbabwe came closest to holding free, fair, and credible elections, because prior to it, SADC leaders had put a lot of pressure on ZANU-PF to carry out changes to make the electoral process more transparent and more democratic. And that election, the March vote, the ZANU-PF lost big time. And guess who stepped in?
2008 patakaita ma-elections pakaposa papinda Tsvangirai ndandiri election agent ya president. Ma-results abuda tiri pa-party headquarters. Vamutasa vanga vari secretary vedu ve-administration. Vamutasa muripi ndafona. Ndiri kwaRusape. Komo gwenda kwaRusape seka ma-results achibuda kudai. Vanga aiwa zvako izvo Mnangagwa ndezvako enda kumusha. Office vanga vabisa zvinhu zvavo zvose. Watofunga kuti zani yadini yaparara. President ofona zvakamira sei? Kati ndomamira zvakaita takatodini kateda sei manje? Mama ndikati abvudzai baba nditaurira baba gadzirai politburo, cabinet. Musarangarira zvimwe zvinhu, gadzirai chi cabinet. Asi nangoda kuti muzive kuti 2008 ma-results abuda vamutasa vakatiza.
As a country we face a generational transition. Vana vesa vari kuma below 35, they are crying out for help. The country is in a mess. Arusuru we know we are inheriting a mess. We know this country has been left with nothing.
I'm assuring you that starting from tomorrow, you'll see a different nation from what you have seen or read on the news about these results and everything. Where we are going ahead there, the situation will be very different. What we said to our people, they could not see with their own eyes. We're going to act as we see it fit. We're prepared to go the whole distance.
The truth of the matter is, Mnangagwa was the driving force behind 2008 Operation Mafotera Party. It became one of the most violent electoral processes in Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa should have gone straight to Chikurubi for his role in 2008. And yet, the man is in State House. How is that possible? What we have in Zimbabwe is the great misfortune of having the likes of Mnangagwa, who are trying to falsify historic facts. But I repeat, even he cannot change historic facts. Mnangagwa has become the Joseph Goebbels of Germany. And Chemical Ali of Iraq, all rolled up into one supremo propagandist. But even he, I repeat, cannot falsify history. He cannot turn Mnangagwa into anything other than the murderous psychopath he is. Zimbabwe is a failed state. And the reason for it is very simple. We have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections for decades, for 45 years and counting. This is why we are where we are. And as long as Zimbabwe remains a pariah state, the country is going nowhere. Mutsvangwa keeps talking about this vision 2030. That is just a mirage. The country's health care system, education have all but collapsed. Even big hospitals like Parenyatwa do not have even the most basic chemicals like painkillers. And one can imagine the state of the provincial hospitals, the district hospitals, and those hospitals in the country's rural backwaters. And yet our friend the propagandist supremos keeps insisting that the country is progressing. The truth of the matter is it is not. At the present moment, the biggest challenge for Zimbabwe is to cure ourselves of the case of rigged elections. As long as we remain bogged down with this case of rigged elections, the country is going nowhere. And we will find ourselves in 2030 facing the reality that the economy did not improve, and yet ZANU-PF is able to rig the elections to stay in power. We should not be talking about Vision 2030. What we should be talking about is curing ourselves of the case of rigged elections. Free, fair, and credible elections are more than just a fundamental right. They are the essence of good governance. And Zimbabwe, we are in this economic and political mess because for 45 years, we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. Here is Mnangagwa dismissing the reports of SADC, the AU, saying Zimbabwe's 2023 elections were flawed. Dismissing it with his usual contempt.
Vana vakatuka ZANU-PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vako vachikurumbidza unenge uchikanganisa. Ukavona vachiti ZANU-PF yakaipa, farai. Because you are doing correct things for your country. Hongu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelections anofamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
Well, the truth of the matter is the failure to hold elections, free, fair, and credible elections, is our problem. It's not SADC, it's not AU, it's not anybody else. It is our problem. We have a psychopath, a murderous psychopath, who has been blinded by greed and his insatiable hunger for power, absolute power. And that's the reason why we are in the mess we are in. And no amount of propaganda can change that. We need to implement the democratic reforms and end this madness of the ZANU-PF dictatorship. And we should dismiss the likes of Mutsvangwa and his propaganda with the contempt it rightly deserves. Thank you very much. Have a nice